Imagine buying an electric car that's cheaper, safer, and works better in freezing temperatures. And the battery inside it contains zero lithium. For years, lithium has been the king of the battery world. But every king eventually gets challenged. And this challenger doesn't come from a high-tech laboratory hidden inside a mountain. It comes from something you probably sprinkled on your fries last week. Today we're talking about sodium-ion batteries, or as lithium executives probably call them. That thing we'd really prefer everyone stop talking about. Welcome back to Tomorrow Explained. Today we're diving into a technology that could reshape electric vehicles, renewable energy storage, and the entire battery industry. Now, I know what you're thinking. A battery? Really? Not flying cars, robot butlers, or AI that somehow knows exactly what you meant to type? Just a battery? But here's the thing. Some of the biggest technological revolutions in history weren't flashy. They were improvements to the boring stuff that everything else depends on. And right now, one of the most important pieces of technology on Earth is the battery. Because without better batteries, the future gets a lot harder to build. And that's exactly why sodium-ion batteries are getting so much attention. Sodium is everywhere. It's found in oceans, salt deposits, and countless industrial materials. In fact, sodium is so abundant that scientists weren't exactly worried about running out of it. Nobody has ever looked at the ocean and thought, guys, we're dangerously low on salt. Lithium has powered the modern world. But success creates new problems. As demand grows, lithium becomes more expensive and harder to secure. The entire planet suddenly decided it wants electric cars at roughly the same time, which is great for the environment. Less great for whoever has to find enough lithium for all of them. The funny thing is that sodium-ion batteries work surprisingly similarly to lithium-ion batteries. The ions move back and forth, storing energy. Scientists spent decades figuring out how to make sodium behave properly inside a battery, which, if you've ever tried to get people to behave properly, sounds incredibly impressive. One of the biggest advantages of sodium-ion batteries is safety. Lithium batteries are generally very safe, but under certain conditions they can experience thermal runaway. That's the scientific term for, this battery has decided today is the day everything catches fire. Sodium-ion batteries appear much more resistant to this problem, and everyone appreciates a battery that's less interested in becoming a flamethrower. Cold weather is one of the biggest weaknesses of lithium-ion batteries. Anyone who owns an EV in winter knows the feeling. You leave home with 300 miles of range. The temperature drops, and suddenly your dashboard starts negotiating with you. Sodium-ion batteries perform much better in freezing temperatures, which means your battery may complain less about winter than you do. This isn't some distant science experiment. Major companies are already rolling out sodium-ion technology, and that's usually when investors start paying attention. Nothing says this technology is real quite like giant corporations spending enormous amounts of money on it. Companies are many things, but they are rarely enthusiastic about lighting billions of dollars on fire. One of the biggest opportunities for sodium-ion batteries is storing renewable energy. Picture a giant solar farm generating power all day long. The problem is that people continue doing inconvenient things like using electricity after sunset. Batteries solve that problem, and sodium-ion batteries could solve it at a much lower cost. Perhaps the most exciting thing about sodium-ion batteries is that they remind us of something important. Sometimes the future isn't about discovering exotic materials on distant planets. Sometimes the future is looking at something that's been sitting in front of us the whole time and finally figuring out how to use it better. Which is basically humanity's favorite hobby. Will sodium-ion batteries completely replace lithium? Probably not, at least not anytime soon. But they don't have to. Airplanes didn't eliminate cars. Computers didn't eliminate paper. Streaming didn't eliminate people arguing about what to watch. Technologies don't always replace each other. Often they simply find the jobs they're best at. And sodium-ion batteries may have found theirs. The next battery revolution might not come from a rare mineral buried deep underground. It might come from something so common that most of us never gave it a second thought. Which is a pretty good reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary breakthroughs come from ordinary things. Thanks for watching. See you next time.